Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. I've been meaning to watch that. I'm your host Monica. We are back again. New topic, new week, new guest, like we do every single week. And this week we have a returning guest with us. If you guys remember, we did an episode a while ago, just diving into what was it, Hannibal. We were talking about Hannibal, and honestly, what a great episode. I really enjoyed talking about that. He is the co host of an amazing podcast called Spro and Lee Take on the Academy. So I want you guys to give a warm welcome to our returning guest, Lee.
Hey, how's it going, Monica? Thanks for having me back.
Thank you so much for coming back. I'm so happy to have you on. And
I actually
guys,
watched the right show this time.
yes. Well, I mean, it's not your fault that like Hannibal is such like a well-known character in media. So,
It is kind of my fault because it was pretty clear that you were talking about the TV show. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
it's fine. It's all good. But today, guys, we're going to be talking about True Detective. And really, we're going to be focusing on seasons one and seasons four. We're going to go over what we like, what we don't like about, season one, which is a really remarkable season cemented in TV history. And the most recent season, season four, True Detective Night Country. But before we dive into that, we're going to go to our first segment, which is Media Mania, where we talk about new releases and entertainment news. And today, I did want to talk a lot about some Marvel castings because there have been a lot of them recently, mainly in regards to Fantastic Four, the newest film that Marvel is now promoting. And also, there was kind of like a mystery casting with Giancarlo Esposito because he's joined the MCU, but there's no news about who he is going to be. And a lot of people have been kind of like guessing, like, oh, who he could be casted as and like what we could be looking forward to. But I was just curious, do you care about casting or like Marvel casting at all?
I'm excited for Fantastic Four, definitely. I think not every single headline catches my attention,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm excited for Fantastic Four. I'm hopeful that is this third or fourth time? Third or fourth time's the charm, hopefully.
I think it's the third time.
Hey, third
Yes.
time's the charm. Hopefully they'll get it right this time.
I feel like they are going to get it right because the cast that they have for the Fantastic Four is so stacked. And with the villain that they're adding in, which is Galactus, who is going to be played by a Harry Potter alum, Ralph In- Inson, we say his last name. I'm interested to see how this movie is going to like round out. And also, John Malkovich has also been casted in Fantastic Four, but there is no news on who he is playing in Fantastic Four. And some people have some theories. Me personally, I want to think that he's going to be playing Annihilus, which is a supervillain in the Fantastic Four series. He is most notably known for the Annihilation event in the Marvel's comics, which is like about several outer space related characters in the Marvel universe. And I think it'll be interesting if he is playing Annihilus, or maybe there's like another comic book character he'll be playing. I'm not sure because I don't work at Marvel, so I don't know. But I'm kind of excited about this.
I was I was just thinking about the when he was being interviewed for something and he said something to the effect of he was ready to call a hit out on himself.
What?
Did you see that piece of news?
No.
So before Breaking Bad, he was at the point where he had decided he was going to order a hit on himself so that his wife and family could collect the life insurance. And I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know if he's being serious or if he's fucking around. Or I mean, it sounds like he was being pretty serious. But then Breaking Bad, then Mandalorian, and now there's a rumor that he's being cast as what is his name? A nihilist.
well, Nihilus is a character I thought for John Malkovich, but Giancarlo, there isn't any news about his role. It's just that
Oh,
he's in the MCU.
gotcha.
Yeah, I did read that. Yeah, and I was reading that and I was like, gosh, that's so sad because he's not really like he's not somebody who jokes about stuff in interviews. So I felt like that was a pretty true story, which is really heartbreaking to hear. But I'm glad that he didn't do that because
Right.
he's done like a lot of really great roles. He's an amazing actor. I feel like everything I watch him in, he is like at his best because he doesn't like half-ass anything really. Like he does such a great job and like whatever he's given. So in the MCU, I'm really excited to see like what it is he's going to be in. He could also possibly play like in my mind, I think he's going to be in Spider-Man 4 because that's happening. So there's a possibility he's going to be playing a Spider-Man villain, but I'm not sure which one because there isn't any news about what Spider-Man 4 is about, when they're going to start filming that, who's directing it really. So it's kind of up in the air, but I'm hoping that he's going to be in Spider-Man 4, if anything.
What villains are? I'm not a Spider-Man was never one of my favorites. What villains are left that
To be
haven't been done?
to be honest, well, to be honest, there are a lot of Spider-Man villains, but one person I saw on Reddit suggested that he could possibly be. He's not Kang, because in the article it literally said Giancarlo Esposito is in the MCU, but it's not who you think. Because a lot of people have been fan casting Kang, but if it's not Kang, in my mind, I think he's going to be the Gold Goblin, which is different from the Green Goblin. I think the Gold Goblin is like the Green Goblin's father, and he is like a prominent supervillain in the Spider-Man comics. So there's that possibility, but to be perfectly honest, I'm fine with him playing any villain because whatever role they give him, he's gonna absolutely kill it. That man is amazing. Like
He's very good.
he is. He's so good. And I'm waiting for someone to write a role for him and put him in a movie that is like, you watch that movie, you see a trailer, you're like, that's Oscar bait, baby. We're doing awards campaign, bitch. We're going.
Yeah, he's one of the many underused in cinema.
Yeah, that's honestly what I'm waiting for. But I'm very excited about Fantastic Four. It's not coming out until next year, which is crazy that we're getting all these news about this movie. But I honestly can't wait. I feel like that's probably like the only new Marvel movie that I'm really looking forward to, besides Deadpool, which I'm anticipating on bated breath, if I'm being honest.
I'm excited for it. I don't know how it. I mean, did you like Logan? Because it kind of okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw a bit of news where Kevin Feige was apparently telling or asking Ryan Reynolds like, "Don't do it," or not Ryan Reynolds.
Hugh
Hugh
Jackman.
Jackman.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do it. You're gonna fuck up the ending of Logan. And I kind of get that,
Yeah.
but
I agree with Feige. I feel like Logan was a perfect swan song for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine because when they announced, that they're going to do X-Men, Marvel's taking over X-Men, I just thought in my mind, oh, they're going to recast Wolverine. But I think with the introduction of the TVA in like the Loki series, it makes sense that they're bringing back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine because it's just a different, it's like an alternate universe, Wolverine. But I feel like the recasting would have been better because Hugh Jackman has been Wolverine for like so many years, and that send off was a really good send off and a really strong send off at that. And I feel like we should let people move on. You know what I mean? Because I love Hugh Jackman. I think he's really great as Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman is also a musical theater man. He wants to sing and dance. Please get this man out of the gym. Like, let him live. I am excited for Deadpool, just because I love Ryan Reynolds and I love what he's done with Deadpool so far. And I know that it's going to be great. And I know that the press tour is going to be awesome because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are hilarious together. So I know the movie's going to do well. But I do wish that, like, we let Wolverine die in 2017. You know?
yeah, it's a bummer. That movie got Logan got spoiled for me. Somebody wrote a spoiler on the bathroom wall in the school that I taught at.
What?
Yeah, yeah. It became like this thing with middle school students to just to be an asshole or a troll. They would just spoil the ending. They did it for Endgame too, but thankfully I saw that one right away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, middle school students have been assholes for a while.
It's true. It's true. and they're getting worse.
Ah, yeah, I bet they are. Gosh, I'm sorry about that. To be honest, I didn't even get to watch the movie until like a lot later because when it had first come out, I was just like working and grinding in school, and I walked past somebody in like because I was in college at the time, and I walked past somebody in the hallway, and they were just talking about the movie loudly, and I was just like, oh gosh, but it was still a good movie. Like I still watched it, like I still wanted to see it, so we were good. Yeah. Oh, one other piece of news I did want to talk about is the fact that they want to reboot Maze Runner. They want to do a Maze Runner reboot, and I I'm just gonna say it. I don't understand why we're doing this. Maze Runner came out in 2014. It's not gonna be a reboot. It may as well just be a continuation because the last film came out in 2018, which is 6 years ago, and if you just want to continue the story, you could continue the story. We could do a prequel. But to reboot the series doesn't make any sense. It wasn't even bad to begin with. It's a pretty solid trilogy. It's a really good book series as well. But this just feels very unnecessary. And I don't know. I feel like whoever came up with this decision, like, we have to go back to the drawing board. I I don't get it. I don't get it, I guess.
I think it's because the Hunger Games, whatever that was, that came out with oh, that little mouthy girl from Snow White and
Oh, the prequel,
West Side
Ballad of
Story.
Songbirds.
Yes, it did very
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
It did shockingly well, in fact. So I think they're Hollywood will do what Hollywood does, and they saw an opportunity to make more money.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
guess.
did like the Maze Runner movies though, actually, and I'm not a big fan. I don't like the Hunger Games movies. I like a couple of the Divergent series movies. Like, no, I take that back. I like the first one.
Have you read the books?
No, but my wife has read my my wife has read all of them, so she fills me in on
Missing.
what's missing or true to the book, etc. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, what was the Scorch Trials where they were like wandering around.
The desert.
Is that yeah? And then didn't they come across like some city that was like half smashed up, and they were like parkouring around it? That was
Yeah.
fucking rad. That was rad. I like that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I do miss that part of cinema. I miss the like trend of adapting YA books because I know that was something that like studios hopped on and they like rode that trend to death. But I kind of want it to come back because I do enjoy that. Like a lot of the books that were adapted were really good books, and in my opinion, they built like really strong movies and strong franchises at least that catapulted a lot of careers. So I can understand wanting to replicate that formula again, but there are so many books that you could pick up from your local library or find on the New York bestsellers list, New York Times bestseller list, and you don't have to do Maze Runner. We don't have to do something that's already been done because there's nothing wrong with doing something new. But of course, so many studios have fallen into this trap of replicating things because they saw that it did well. So they're like, oh, let's just, do a rerun. And then let's see if we can get it that much money again a second time around. Like with the Hunger Games prequel, it makes sense because like it's a new book, same author, same universe. That's familiar. So it makes sense to make a movie out of that book because they still make movies out of every single book John Green writes. This man has like I don't know, some blank check from Universal. Like he just had a movie that dropped on HBO Max of a book he published that came out last year. So it's obvious that like YA adaptations are still successful and people are still asking for these, but it doesn't hurt to try something else, or at least I don't know, tap another author that's still writing books, one book a year, like John Green. Like we don't have to do Maze Runner. We could do anything else, please.
I was going to ask you, what would you do if it was up to you?
If it was up to me, honestly, I would pick um, a new book, a different book. Um, in my mind, there's a book called there's a book about by Tony Adeyemi. Hold on, I have to Google it because she had said, hold on, because I'm about to. Okay, I had the book title right. I don't want to say the wrong book title, but there's a series called Children of Blood and Bone, and this series was originally published in 2018, and it's a basically like a fantasy novel that is based in like a magical spiritual realm, and it's written by Tomi, yeah, Adeyemi, I said that right, and it's West African inspired. So this was a series that was really popular for a really long time, and at one point I felt like I saw news that it was adapted into a TV show, but then there was no news past it. So I would take this book and I would create a series out of it, whether it was like a TV show or a film. I think that television adaptations for books are a lot stronger because in film adaptations you do lose a lot of the details, and sometimes they like introduce new characters that you don't need, and they take out characters they feel like that don't translate well to the story that they're trying to tell. So I feel like I would do a television adaptation of this book series, and every single book would be a new season, and I would put it on Max because I feel like Max is the strongest platform for adaptations because anytime we do adaptation on Netflix, they do like a huge press tour and everything, but they've been canceling a lot of their fantasy series, which is really disappointing. And because Max, they have HBO, no, they have Game of Thrones. So if you have a new fantasy series like alongside Game of Thrones, I feel like it would complement it really well. That's what I would do if I was in the chair. Or I would just look down the New York Times bestseller list and I'd be like, I mean, let's just buy all 10 of the books, top 10 books, read them, and then, see which one probably translates best with whatever trends is working. Because, these studios are also relying on, like, algorithms to see what is most popular with, like, the audiences that they're trying to reach, which is usually, like, 25 to 38-year-olds who are people who work, have free time, and have money to spend to go to the movie theaters. Or they try to pick up, like, new children's books. And I'm sorry, my guy, it's not working. It's not working. I don't know. What would you do if you were a studio head? Like, what book would you adapt into a new movie or TV show?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I don't know. Um, no, I do know. I take that back. I inadvertently lied. I would do a new version of The Outsiders.
Hmm.
When I read that I fucking hate that book for starters. Let me
Hmm.
put that out. Let me put that out there. Did you ever read The Outsiders?
No.
So I would read it every year with my students, and it was always the unequivocal favorite. It's about a bunch of boys. Three of them are brothers, and then like there's like three or four more that are kind of just they hang out. They're greasers, and the rich kids are called the socias, which is short for the socials. But I mean, you could 100% make a Netflix show with a bunch of 20 somethings playing teenagers like they always do,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of hot guys and girls ages 11 to 20 would probably watch the ever living shit out of that show.
Mm.
I'm surprised they haven't done it, frankly, because the themes and everything just touch the kids, and it would bother the hell out of me. I'm like, oh, why do you guys like this?
Why don't you like the book?
Because it's I don't know, it's melodramatic
Oh,
in my opinion. You know which one I liked? I like Holes.
I love
You could do
holes.
you could do like standalone ones. It doesn't need to be a series. Maybe pick some standalone ones
Mm.
and do those.
Yeah, I love holes. I also love the movie. I feel like that was a really strong film. I actually, I do still want to do Children of Blood and Bone, but I feel like I would also do The Uglies, which is a book that
Yes.
I read, yeah, when I was younger. I feel like that would be a really great series to adapt. And you could do a film, but I feel like it would be better as a television show, like, just in my opinion. And I think it would work really well because I don't know what it is. Gen Z, they are obsessed with like looking in like certain celebrities' faces and figuring out like who has fillers, who's had Botox, who's had like a nose job. And I feel like the uglies would translate really well for like that audience, like that message. And Scott Westerfeld was like the one author that I would always turn to. Um, he also had another book. I don't remember what series it was called, but it was a series about these kids, and if they were like unwanted, they would get taken apart. You remember that book series?
No,
You don't
no,
remember?
I don't. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, I think. My wife did read the uglies. My wife,
Mm-hmm.
Lizzie, was an English teacher too, and she would read the uglies with the kid and the kids, her kids, and that was one of her favorites. And you're saying Scott Westerfeld wrote another one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him, or maybe it was someone else, but I remember that series so vividly in my mind. I don't remember, I don't know why I can't remember, like,
They would get taken apart, like what? Like people would reuse their parts or something?
yeah, like these kids, like, if you're a bad kid, if you misbehave, or if, like, you're in a foster home and, like, they ran out of space, you would get taken to a facility and it would basically they would take you apart. And it was also in a time where like you could only have two children. So if you have more than one kid, if you have three kids, essentially you have to pick which one is gonna be like taken.
Whoa.
Yeah. Um, at one point in the series, it was I think a trilogy or like maybe a whole series. They did describe the procedure and how a person would like be awake during the procedure, or at least kind of conscious during it. It was it was an out of body experience to read that series. I did like it a lot. I felt like it was very interesting. I felt like it was really smart. It was a different kind of science fiction that I was used to. But, yeah. Anyways, the last piece of news I did want to talk about is the fact that Jordan Peele has a new film that he is slated to release in September 2025. Originally, the film was called Goat. Now the film is called Him, and it stars Marlon Wayans, and it is a movie about a legendary quarterback who is tasked with training a young rising athlete played by Tyreek Withers, who, if you don't know Tyreek Withers, he was in that one episode of Atlanta that was in black and white. It had Kevin Samuels in it. But yes, I'm very excited for this because I will be excited for anything Jordan Peele makes. But this does look very, very interesting. And I think we'll have a very interesting perspective on like fame, athleticism, and like leaving behind a legacy. You know?
Is it another horror film?
It looks like it's a psychological horror film.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was not a fan of Nope.
I love Nope. What did you not like about Nope?
I felt as though the third act
Uh huh.
was such a letdown. I
Really?
was, oh yeah, yes,
How?
because it just was. I was like falling asleep. I was like bored out of my mind. The cinematographer that's like, "Brah!" And I don't know. It would just the whole third act. It built up the first act and the second. I mean, the opening is great with Keith David and the nickel. Um, and the build up with the chimpanzee and
Mm-hmm.
then the um, what is it, Glenn from Walking Dead
Mm-hmm.
doing his
Yeah.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. And then the third act, I was just snooze fest. I was really disappointed. And I loved Get Out, and I really liked Us. I think
Mm-hmm.
Us is my favorite one that he's done.
I
And
know.
despite everybody's problems with the ending,
I actually haven't seen Us yet, mainly because like I feel like it's too
uh,
scary. I don't know if I'm ready for seeing Lupita Nyong'o look like she's going to kill me. And someone told me something about like rabbits, and I was like, mm.
oh man, the see the yeah. Well, I won't spoil anything for you, but the uh the string arrangement of I've got five on it,
Mm-hmm.
it just gives me goosebumps, makes the hair stand up. Oh, you got to see Us.
I know that's on my watch list. It's been on my watch list for years, and I honestly don't understand how you could not like Nope. The third act is like the least boring part of the movie. It's actually like the most suspenseful part of the movie. Is when they interact with the top hat, and it basically comes to life. Like we see it in like all its glory. I feel like I
I
think
was
that
bored. I was
No,
bored.
I refuse to believe that. That's ridiculous.
It was
That's
it's
ridiculous.
up there with Man of Steel as like biggest letdowns when I went to the theater.
Well, I haven't even seen that movie, so
Yeah, well, don't see Man of Steel. It's bad. You haven't seen Man of Steel?
no,
The Zack Snyder Superman?
I don't watch Zack Snyder's movies.
Oh, then good for you. I hadn't learned that lesson yet.
I'm gonna be so honest. I watched Watchmen because I loved the comics when I was younger, and I was just like, this is not the comics. In my mind, I'm like, I know superhero movies work. I know about studio control. I understand that. I understand like movies and like the adaptation, like the material it's from. It can't always be like the same. But in my head, I was just like, this could be better, and I just like I feel like it wasn't. And I feel vindicated in that now because Watchmen, the HBO series, is out now, and I'm like, you see, that wasn't too hard, that wasn't.
And you like that one?
I love the series. I love the show.
I have a friend who worked on that show.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, what did they do?
She's been on the on our podcast. Um, she is an intimacy coordinator. So every
Oh,
time that what's the lady's name? The one who won best supporting actress,
Regina King.
Regina King.
Yeah,
So every time Regina King's getting railed by
not that.
um yeah, she's an intimacy coordinator. So she choreographs sex scenes. So she was right in the middle of all that.
Oh wow, well that's interesting. That is so cool.
Yeah.
You know what? I love that, and I'm really excited for whatever Jordan Peele has in store for us.
I'll
Um,
see it definitely. He's not in director jail as far as I'm concerned, but I am hoping for something better than no.
all right, whatever. Um,
Mm?
I feel like there are a lot of new releases that are coming out right now that I'm really interested in. The main one I'm actually excited for is Twisters because the creators of the film have said it's a standalone uh, sequel to the original film, and I have seen the original film, and I love the original film. I think watching that movie was like the first time I was just like, oh my god, like it was the first I don't know, I feel like it was my first introduction to like CGI and just seeing like what you could really do in a movie, you know, like a film about chasing tornadoes. Like people do that, that's a job, but to make a movie about it, I fully thought like, oh, they're doing this for real, like they're there, they're on the ground. It's like, no girl, not at all. But I'm excited because Glenn Powell is in his country bag, and I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see his southern draw, his southern charm, southern gentleman. I can't wait.
You like Glenn Powell?
I like him. I think he's a very strong actor. I think he's a really good leading man. Um, I
He's
think
got really beady eyes, doesn't he?
yes.
I'm just fucking around. He's all right. He's got boy does he have a nice smile though
Mm-hmm.
when he gets his sarcasm on in Maverick. Boy,
Yeah,
he's a sarcastic one. Did you see Anyone But You with him
I did see
and
anyone but
Sydney
you.
Sweetie?
Yep.
I haven't been
Watched
able
it.
to sally forth on that one yet.
It's very like cheesy rom com. A friend of mine really got into it because I think it's based off of like a Shakespeare play, so that's why she likes it. And
Shut up.
I, I think I don't remember which Shakespeare play it is, but she went into like a whole like rant about it and told me about it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I watched the movie and I was like, oh, this is a cute movie. I liked it. It was fun. You know, it was like, all right, good for you. Get that bag. We love to see it. I'm always happy when romance films are in the cinema because I like it when you make films that are just like fun, easy to watch, and meant to take your mind off of things. Because I don't need to see prestige films all the time.
According to this, it is loosely based on
Mm.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, I didn't get that when I watched the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When I think of Much Ado About Nothing, I think of like the classic one, Denzel.
Denzel, Michael
Yep.
Keaton,
Yes.
Emma Thompson, Kenneth
Yes.
Branagh. Yeah, me too.
God.
Keanu Reeves.
What a perfect cast.
This is a pretty solid cast.
God. Also, Keanu Reeves and Denzel like next to each other on a horse. Man, nothing better.
Weird. Never see that again.
Okay. I they don't make movies like that anymore, man. They don't.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's because Kenneth Branagh ruined it all when he cheated on Emma Thompson.
Uh, wow. Anyways, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up Media Mania, and we're gonna dive right into our discussion about True Detective. True Detective, for those who do not know, is a crime drama created by Nick Pizzolatto. It is set in Louisiana, and honestly, the show is an anthology series, so every single season is, different characters, different setting, different story. But we're going to be focusing on seasons 1 and 4 because season one of True Detective is heralded as the best season of True Detective. It's also heralded as one of the best first seasons of TV, period. And True Detective is very lucky to have come out around the same time that, Walking Dead was really good, season 4, and then you have Breaking Bad as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive into season 1 with lead actors Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. And one thing that I I don't know, I was very struck by was like Matthew McConaughey's performance initially, just as Rust, because I think I'm used to Matthew McConaughey as like someone who's suave and charismatic, and him playing someone who's like very nihilistic and like stoic was different from the characters I'm used to seeing him as. So I think that Russ was a really interesting character to follow, and there were times when Russ is kind of like talking in the car with Woody Harrelson, and I'm like, damn, smile. Like, I was like, oh wow, this is a tough character. Like, he has a rough outlook on stuff, and I think that really I think the kind of character matches for the material you're covering in the season, because the case itself is pretty brutal, and you can't really like look at it without any kind of like way, but like in a realistic worldview. You know what I mean? But what do you feel like was your initial thoughts when you were watching season 1 True Detective? Have you seen the season like prior?
No, Night Country was the first True Detective that I had ever watched.
Uh huh.
Um, Not that I'm opposed to it. I'm not a big TV guy.
Mm
We covered this last time.
hmm.
But the other problem was I don't like Matthew McConaughey.
Oh
I
wow.
I find him insufferable. I really do. And I don't get the widespread appeal of him.
Okay.
And even in this, even in well, I'll stick to the topic first. I do like how each season is self-contained.
Mm
I think that's really cool. And I think a show like Stranger Things would have been really cool
hmm. Mm hmm.
if they had done the same thing.
That was the initial idea for Stranger Things as an
Was it?
anthology series. Yeah.
Okay, maybe then I read that somewhere, and that's why I'm like trying to pass it off as my own idea.
Yeah, and then the creators were like, "Oh, people really like the first season, so we'll just like
Yes, yeah. And they're
continue
like,
it."
let's beat it into the ground.
You could see how in later seasons that kind of hurt it. Yeah.
Definitely,
Yes. But
definitely.
continue.
Um, yeah. So I mean, I obviously I frequent Reddit as you do, and True Detective is absolutely lauded all the time. Season one. So I gave it a try, Monica,
Mm-hmm.
and God damn it. Like I think I got to episode 3 of season 1 and I'm like I can't do it anymore. How do you not lose your mind when every time McConaughey says a word with the letter S in it,
Uh-huh.
he whistles. He's like the gopher from Winnie the Pooh. Every
Uh-huh.
like we need to find this sample of this. I don't know. Maybe I have some sort of neurodivergent audio fucking disorder. I couldn't do it.
Oh,
I couldn't do it.
to be honest, whenever I'm watching a series and I get to a point where I'm just like, I don't know if I can finish this. If it's for like my entertainment, then I stop. But like if I'm doing it because I'm like I have to talk about this later on TikTok, on a podcast, I have to write a review about this. It's like, well, I have to finish it because like I have to know what's going on. I have to like I want to give my full opinion. If I get to the point where I'm like, I absolutely cannot finish it, then I'm just gonna be like, well, oh well, that's just it. But I had to watch season one because I like season four, and when I let you know in the email, you were just like, ah, not my favorite. So I was like, huh. So then I did research, and there are a lot of people talking about how like they didn't like season four, but they prefer season one. So I was like, okay, so I need a comparison. I need a benchmark, and if there is such a universal love for season one, that I need to understand why so many people like season one and why Nick Pizzolatto has now been heralded as such an amazing writer because of this first season. And I feel like there are a lot of strong things about season one. I also want to say to your McConaughey question, like he started out in rom coms, you know, like that's really where like people found a lot of love for him, and that's how I found a love for him because I love How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Like that's one of my favorite movies. So I think with the goodwill he has like gotten through his career, he kind of could just do whatever role he wants. And I think his I don't know. I feel like Rust is such an interesting character because of his nihilistic purview. But after a while, I was kind of like, I need to take a break. I need to take a break because first of all, this is heavy, and second of all, you're not helping me here, my guy. Like, I need you to chill. You know what I mean? Like, there are times when you see a character on screen and there's have a shtick, and it's fine if a character is like, you know, kind of like I don't know, surrender themselves to like doomerism. But after a while, I can't keep listening to you like moan on and on about like how we're all doomed, how the universe and the world is fucked, and like I can't do it. I can't listen. You know?
Yeah, and see, and I didn't mind. Like I thought, I I like the dark
Mm-hmm.
character. I dig it, and I thought that if I wasn't so like if it wasn't setting my teeth on edge to listen to him speak, then I would have liked I like the dynamic
Mm-hmm.
between the two of them. It worked really well,
Yeah.
but god damn it, I just and so I guess I felt I just continually feel out of touch. Like when people are like, "This is amazing," and I watch it, I'm like, I don't find this amazing.
Uh huh.
So apologies for being unprofessional and not finishing it, but
No, that's fine.
god damn it.
Honestly, if you ever like start watching something and it's just not your vibe and you don't like it, I'm perfectly fine with you not finishing it because I'm the same way. There are plenty of times where I will start watching a movie and I'm just like, you know what, at this point, I can't sit through this. Like, I literally walked out of Aquaman because I was watching it and like they got to the middle act and I was just like, do I care how this ends? And the resounding answer in my head was like, no. And I said, I'm leaving. I paid
Do you
$20 for a ticket. I'm out.
do you like Interstellar?
I haven't. You're the second person I've had on this podcast who has hinted at not liking it herself.
I don't like it. I don't I do not like it. I bought I bought IMAX tickets. I was very excited. That was pretty sure that was Nolan's follow-up to Inception.
Hmm.
I was pumped for that movie. I was like, I don't even care that it has McConaughey in it. And he wasn't terrible in that movie,
Okay.
but god damn it, that movie was such a disappointment. I'm like racking my brain. Dazed and Confused is the only thing I can think of. I mean, he's perfect. He's like a rat-faced scumbag in Dazed and Confused. He's fucking perfect. Lone Star is a good flick. Did you ever see Lone Star?
Yeah.
That's like one of his like first roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I'm struggling to think of anything else that I with him in it that I enjoy. And he gave one of, if not the most blowhard acceptance speech when he won Best Actor. Do you remember that? When he was like, somebody asked me once, like, who's your hero?
Hmm.
And I was like, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. And you know what? I realized I went back to him. And I said, it's me in 20 years. It's like,
Wow.
what the fuck are you talking about? It was like 5 minutes of just asshole talk. Oh God, kill me. Sorry. I'm bringing the negativity tonight.
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that negativity because
Seriously,
I.
if anybody thinks that I am off base here,
Mm.
Please go to YouTube right now. Find his speech. Get yourself a clear head and
Mm.
then watch and listen to the words that come out of his fucking mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It is astounding because anyone else says anything remotely that egotistical and we would brush them off. But because it's McConaughey and he's beautiful and ugh, bleh.
I did not see that speech. I feel like, hmm. Let me ask you a question. Did you finish season 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what do
Jodie Foster, I do like.
you Okay. I did want to say just like my basic thoughts of a season 1. I feel like very strong season and a really strong story. And I think what season 1 does very well is having like the two contrasting characters. And I think another thing that season 1 does really well is like having, first of all, the story, the case, having your characters and like strongly define who they are and like their opinions of the case. And I find that like there's a time jump in the first season, and I think they did it pretty well and like matched it pretty well. And resolving the story was pretty solid. Overall, I understand why it's a good first season, and I can see all of the components that make it such a strong first season. And I don't know how else to say this. I like season 1. I think it's good. I think Nick Pizzolatto did a really good job of writing season 1. Do I think it's one of the best first seasons of a show? No. I think that True Detective, because the later seasons are not as strong, you have no choice but to say the first season is the best. Because that's what happens. When you have a show that goes on for a long, it's usually when shows are going on longer. You'll say the first seasons were so good, they're so strong, they're so great. That's because you're first starting out. You're building your foundations. You're first testing the waters. And also, Nick Pizzolatto had Cary Fukunaga, who's a great director, alongside with him. So when you have that pairing, it works really well. But season 2, Nick Pizzolatto wrote all the episodes himself and didn't really work well with other people. And then he got upset when people started doing episode reviews because they're reviewing the episodes. And he was like, just watch the whole series and then review at the end. And they did. And they're like, okay, it's still bad. And he got upset about that. And then season 3, same thing. And you can't, like, having a strong actor
Is
with,
is season 3 the one with Mahershala Ali?
yeah.
Okay. Who was in 2?
2 is Rachel McAdams, Taylor
Ooh.
Sheridan, I think,
Mm.
and Vince Vaughn, and
Mm.
um, not me for no 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 no. I know his name. He was in The Lobster. He was in
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Minus Vince Vaughn. That's a great cast.
Vince Vaughn was actually pretty good at season 2 from the episodes that I watched,
All
because I
right.
I just wanted to like watch a little bit just to kind of compare. Um, he was pretty good. I would say he's a pretty solid dramatic actor, but he's better as in comedy, if we're being honest. Yeah, but if you watch a show and all the other later seasons are not as strong as the first season, what are you gonna say? The first season is the best because that's just it. And also, True Detective is very lucky to come out during the golden age of television. So
Yes.
when you have a very solid foundation for the first season of the show, you're in league with all the other greats. They're just gonna like usher you in there. Also, you're with HBO. That's legacy television. Like that's it. You know. So I feel like this happens a lot. Me personally, because like I watch a lot of TV. I see this with like lots of TV shows, especially like Doctor Who, which is like a show that I love. Everybody says, "Oh, this showrunner was better. This showrunner was better." They only say that when they switch showrunners. They only say that when they switch doctors, because when they brought on Matt Smith, everyone said, "I miss David Tennant. I miss Russell T Davis." They bring in Peter Capaldi. I miss Matt Smith. I miss Stephen Moffat. They bring on Jodie Whittaker. I miss Peter Capaldi. I miss oh my gosh, it's like girl, make up your mind. The show doesn't really change through writers. It does kind of. But like make up your mind, really. You can't like one certain season of a show. It's a whole body of work. But yeah. I don't know if you experience that in like the shows. Well, you're not really a TV guy.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, you are. You're not. I mean, I don't know how you find the time, quite honestly. But um, it's such a commitment.
Mm,
It has to be so engaging and engrossing, or it has to be a limited series.
yeah.
Or in the case of True Detective, Night Country. I mean, as soon as I saw the trailer for Night Country, and I was like, "Fucking Alaska, fucking Jodie Foster." I'm in. Freezing cold, desolate ass ice wasteland with Jodie Foster as law enforcement again. I'm in. So, but I mean, I've seen my fair share of TV. I've seen all the seasons of Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
One is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You could have ended it on one. They should have ended it on one because none of the other seasons have the same. I mean, every episode of season one is good. You cannot say that about the other. And then the most recent one, yes, it's probably the second best, but every episode is like so fucking long.
Yeah.
We'll get into it with Night Country though. It's just the other thing I can't stand is like you're doing too many things. There's too many characters, too many storylines. I don't give a flying fuck about these people.
Mm.
Get back to the shit that I fucking care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right because that is a perfect analogy of Stranger. Why are you watching Stranger Things?
Um, what do you mean? Why am I watching?
Yeah, it sounds like you don't like it. Like, are you
Oh,
watching with your wife or?
I am watching it with my wife,
Okay.
but I really really liked season one,
Mm-hmm.
and season two
Mm.
was all right.
Yeah.
Season three was really bad.
Yeah.
The one in the mall, doo doo, and then season four, I was like, no, I'm not watching it. My wife begged and pleaded with me because she wanted me to see the running up that hill
Yeah.
scene,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right, let's keep going.
Honestly, I feel like me personally, I could keep watching Stranger Things because how many times are y'all gonna make that little boy get possessed? It's the same boy.
In seasons one and two, yeah, stupid.
I did finish watching it with my cousins because that's their favorite show. I don't understand why. Because their mom hates it. Who's my aunt? She hates that show, but she'll watch it with them. And then she'll yell at the TV because she hates the kids. And then my siblings are like, no, 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 it's great. My cousins, they're like, oh, no, no, it's great, it's great. So everybody's talking and nobody's watching the show. So now I'm sitting here watching the show and I'm like, what's happening?
Uh,
What's going on? Why is all this happening in the mall? Where are the police? Like,
I also rewatch shows. Like
mm,
if a show is that good, then I rewatch it just the same way that I rewatch movies. Like Mindhunter,
mm,
seasons one and two. I've watched that 5 or 6 times.
mm-hmm.
Breaking Bad all the way through, even though I think what is there, like 60 something episodes of Breaking Bad. You could have told that story in like 18 and
Mm,
it still would have been really good. I've watched Twin Peaks a couple different times, so I've got my shows that I like that I will return to, but it's hard for me to get into a show. I really liked Handmaid's Tale first season. Second season was all right, and then
yeah,
third season I was just like, it's no more. I'm done. I'm done. You have ruined it. Walking Dead was the same thing
yeah.
for me.
Handmaid's Tale, that went on for like how many seasons?
It might still be going on for all I know. I don't know. I don't care. I do not care. You have to have closure. You can't keep
Yes.
stringing me along.
You have to wrap it up at some point.
Yep.
Okay. I did want to just kind of give my personal thoughts on season one real quick. We could just
Go
like
for it.
dive into season four. Um, I think that season one does a really awesome job. This is gonna tie into what I think about season four. But I think I really like season one. And the thing that I really did love is that they introduced something very interesting with like the swirl and like um the strange interaction with that one family that seems to be involved in every little thing going on in that town and the freaking like um church being like a domineering like presence in the series. And I feel like overall, the show does a good job of introducing like some otherworldly elements, but still grounding it in reality and giving you your villain. They give you the person who did it. They give you the murderer. And I feel like there is some kind of closure for Rust because he is a wayward character. He is so nihilistic and sad and like depressed. He's just like so screwed. And this guy has been through like so much. Like he was basically like a drug mule for a police department for a long time, and now he just has like a general distrust towards like any person he interacts with, except Woody Harrelson's character. And they are just like two peas in a pod. Even though it's clear that they kind of hate each other, they still like need each other because at least Woody Harrelson's character understands him on some kind of level, so he can work with him, and Russ is able to like try be try and compromise with Woody Harrelson's character. And I feel like it was very clear in the middle of the season how the story you feel like it's like wrapped up, but obviously there's more that goes into it. And I like that they're still pulling from like existing threads from the story to bring everything together. And I really did like that about the show, and I feel like there's an interesting look into like masculinity throughout the first season and how Woody Harrelson pretends to be this family man, he pretends to be this good guy, he's a working citizen, he's a cop, and he is cheating on his wife. And at some point, like, I get like she's a wife, she's a mother, she has to take care of her kids, but sometimes like at some point in the season, they make it known that like she's not stupid. Like I like Skylar White as a character, but I feel like at some point, girl, we should have figured out what was going on. Like, you should have figured out what's going on earlier, you know? And she gets it. Like, she picks up on the fact that, like, Woody Harrelson is not faithful. And I'm glad that at least she breaks up with him. Thank God that happens. Thank God. She actually gets her lick back. Thank God. Because, God forbid, a wife, like, gets cheated on. And she's like, oh, I'll stay with you. Like, no, girl. You gotta hit the bricks. And you gotta get out. And at least he, like, accepts it to, like, some degree. He does get angry and mad because, like, he's a cop, can't process his anger well, like, that happens. But I feel like with Rust, because he's like so alone, he just like has no choice but to rely on himself, and that causes him to go off in terms of the investigation. And when they come back, because like they solved the case in the 90s, and then 20 years later they get back to the case. Is that it? My time might be off, but they do come back to the case and they do resolve it, and I feel like that's a good resolution for the first season. And I feel like Nick Pizzolatto did a really good job of creating two opposing characters who are very much alike in a way, because Woody Harrelson looks at Russ and he feels like this man has no foundation, he has nothing to ground him, he has no wife, no God, no country, he's just alone. But Woody Harrelson could very much be a lone wolf on his own because he doesn't rely on anybody really. He doesn't really confide in Gus. He doesn't talk to his wife. He doesn't. He doesn't really care about like anybody. He doesn't even care about the girl he's sleeping with, cheating on his wife with, because he sees that girl out with a guy and he's like ready to like beat her up. And it's like, you have a wife at home. You have a child at home. You have things to do. You don't need to be worried about that. You don't need to be concerned about that. So it's clear that they kind of complement each other in their flaws. And I think the end of the season does a really good job of painting that picture of like, these are two strong, stoic men, but these are two strong, stoic, fucked up men. And they solve this case that has been like sitting unsolved for so long. And they do it in the most roundabout, terrible, unprofessional way, but at least they get to the bottom of it, which is great. And I feel like that's what people really like about the season. They like a lot of general audiences, they love a bad cop, like a cop who's gonna like beat up suspects, who's somehow smarter than everybody, nihilistic, goes off the deep end. Like they love that shit, and whenever it works in their favor, they love that shit. And you know what? I do too. It works for a good story. It makes for a good story, and I think that's what people really loved about season one. And I think in season four, they very clearly tried to replicate that. You have two cops who don't get along but are very similar to each other. You have a story with otherworldly elements, and then you need to find a murderer. The problem is, it's not wrapped up clearly in season four, in my opinion. But we could just dive into season four and talk about that. But let me know, what were your initial thoughts in watching season 4?
Well, I mean, in the first episode, I remember already being like dialed in, like the whole. I mean, the opening sequence is where you see the scientists, and he does the one guy that ends up coming back is like, she's awake, and then you don't know what happens. It's very much like it was giving me Thing vibes. Did you ever see The Thing?
No.
John Carpenter's The Thing. Very, very clearly was well loved by what was the lady's name? I wrote it down. Who did this? Issa Lopez. Very
Okay.
clearly, she's very clearly. I mean, unless somebody was strong arming her into making it like that, but um, and then Jodie Foster catches that one lady that's drunk, and she starts having that like flashback, and that was when I was in. But it's so vague, and it's like, oh boy, here we go with the little pieces. They're gonna breadcrumb me the entire time, and they do. You don't find out until the absolute last episode. I think, or like halfway through, or even more than halfway through the last episode, what actually happened, and so but it kept my interest. It kept my interest, and I love Jodie. And I really liked what's her face grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
Callie Reese, the one who plays Navarro.
Yeah.
She's a badass, reckless, and I love how much taller she is than Jodie. Like when the two of them square off, but
uh,
yeah, as you were talking about Detective season one, I was first of all, you made it actually sound kind of cool, so now I do sort of want to finish it. Um, and when you said it was a study in masculinity, and then you were like comparing it to this one, saying that they're trying to replicate it, it's kind of a study in femininity. Even if Jodie Foster's character, I should just leave this up because I need to keep referring to my cast list here. Danvers, Liz,
mm-hmm.
even if she is, not your typical. I mean, what's feminine about her?
She's pretty
In your,
abrasive.
she's pretty what?
Abrasive.
She's pretty abrasive, which
Yeah.
I dig. I love abrasive. I love how mouthy she is. Cracks me up.
Yeah.
Um, and she's also a little bit of a hoe,
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
which I also like. I'm into it. I'm into it. Own it. But and when it was over, I'm interested what you meant by it's not tied up. You didn't get your closure in the end. What do you mean by that? Because I only have one question about the end.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I really enjoyed season 4. Um, I feel like there are certain parts of the season that I still like have some questions about, really. Um, I think figuring out how the scientist died is it's interesting to look at because the season does spend a lot of time looking into like Native American mythology and like understanding like Native American culture, which I enjoy, and I like the fact that they include like what's happening with the mines and the people, and then tying that in with the Tuttle family. I think it is in the whole series. But at the end, with the guy, the last guy, you remember when like the lady she's there and Navarro, she comes, she's in the dark and she's at the scientist lab and she sees him, but it's like light and he's clearly where he was in the first episode and he's kind of like phasing in and out. And I remember seeing that in episode 1 and I was thinking like, is he having a seizure? And then he snaps out of it and he's like, she's awake and the lights go out and I'm sitting here like, who's awake? Immediately I'm thinking it's a ghost, but then I'm like, this isn't a ghost story, is it? I'm
It,
thinking,
they try to dance the line, don't they?
yes, and that's the thing because when they do talk to the Native American women that worked at the scientist lab and they were like cleaning and like cooking for them and taking care of the stuff, they basically said that like they ushered these men out and they left them outside and like she would go get them. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, who is she? I need a name. Like, I need to understand this. It kind of feels like they're trying to pull from just like a general sense of like Native American mythology, and I want like a name. I want like lore. I want to understand. I want to get it. And I want to know why when Navarro went outside with the guy, he was the same way the other people was. And I'm like, okay, so where is she? Who is she? How did he get out there like that? And why did this happen? And now I'm thinking about like Navarro, you know, like she went out on the ice and she left. And I'm sitting here like, okay, is she like a ghost? Is
Is
she
she
still
dead?
here?
Are
Yeah,
you
is
talking about
she
that
dead?
absolute final shot?
Yes. And
Yeah, I think she's dead. And my wife was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "She just walked right. She just fucking walked right into
yes,
the ice. What are you talking
yeah.
about?"
To be honest, I like it when it's open ended because they want to keep the audience guessing.
I
But
do too.
if you leave too many threads like opened and like kind of left for people to like question and try and figure it out, then I'm just like, okay, no, I need resolution. I need an ending. I need a denouement. I need to know what's going on. You know?
I just assumed. I mean, she's dressed exactly the same as I mean, I guess she was dressed exactly the same pretty much through the entire
Right.
show, but she sort of like creeps in off the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't beat you over the head, but that preceding shot where she's walking out on the ice, I'm like, okay, so she, she finally succumbed to the family curse or whatever the the draw was for
Mm-hmm.
them to, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What did you
That's
think? Go ahead.
that's another thing. I don't like it when series, like a show or a movie, they have this blurry line between like mythology and like spirituality and then like mental health. Because I like what was going on with her, whatever was going on with her sister, I feel like was really hard and really challenging. And then for it to be a reflection of what happened with her mother was obviously like haunting her. Like to have your mom's like your mom's illness haunting the narrative has to be something that's very difficult for you because she's a cop. She can't always take care of her sister, even though she's trying to, if she wants to. And obviously, like her sister doesn't want to be living in Alaska, where there are like 3 4 months of like any kind of sun. So it's hard for someone who is like in the headspace to live there. And then for her to lose her sister, I feel like was really tough. And when that happened, I was just like really sad because like, oh no. And immediately in my head, I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it because they always do this. Somebody loses a family member, and either the person toughs it out and they're living in hell, but they're just kind of like grinning and bear it, or they follow the same footsteps. And I'm like, we can't do that because I don't know what's going on, and I need a resolution. And you can't have one of the detectives die. You know what I mean? And also, there was a shot when they're in like I don't know if it was a factory or something, and there's a person in the background, and I'm like, this is giving very much haunting of Hill House. Why is there a ghost? Who is she? You know, I just
I think back to um I think back to Sherlock Holmes stories and specifically Hound of the Baskervilles, where Sherlock is presented with something that by all rights seems unreal. Like
yeah.
and he eventually proves that there is a logical explanation. So it's just, I mean, there's lots of stories like that. I can't, of course, think of any of them off the top of my head, but yeah, then as the viewer, you're like, oh my God, is this magical or is there a logical explanation? And by and large, there's mostly logical explanations for everything, except for the fact that through Navarro is the one that taps into, presumably because of um, her native background, is able to tap into this other world, the beyond,
Mm-hmm.
more so than Jodie Foster's character.
Mm-hmm.
And she is able to tell, I mean, whether it's true or not, she's able to comfort Jodie Foster and tell her what her son said to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. It was interesting. It kept me watching, but God, so many side characters
Mm-hmm.
that I did not give a shit about. I did not give a shit about Jodie Foster's daughter. I did not care. I didn't care. I didn't care about her. I didn't care about Um, Peter, like the whole thing with Peter, where
Oh,
he
the boy, the young kid.
where he blows away his dad.
Oh my god, that
Now,
scene?
yeah, you could feel it coming though. You could feel it coming.
God, that was horrible.
It was pretty horrible. But then
Yeah.
what the fuck? He just like flips on a dime and is just like, I'll hide the body and then we'll never talk about this. It's like, what? And then who in the motherfuck is the woman? She's Dudley Dursley's mom from Harry Potter, the one who's just like living out on the ice and she's like smoking joints and
Yeah.
drinking wine. Like
Who is she?
I I think it's like hinted that she has some past that she was trying to run away from, and that's why she's up there. But yet she's also, you know, completely dialed into exactly
What's
like
going
she's
on?
like, yes, and she's like, she says dumb shit like, now the night country is coming for us all, and she helps him hide the body. It's just like, what is happening? It's all these are my big problems with TV. It's like if you are going to deviate from the main story, because I want to know what's going on with Danvers, Liz Danvers,
Mm-hmm.
and Navarro. I want to know what happened to the girl. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know. I want to know what the night country is like when they fell into the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like when Navarro fell, and then Jodie Foster's like, "I'll go get somebody." She falls too. I was like, "Here we fucking go. Now
Right.
it's get good." But that's what I want from Jump. It's
Yeah.
like I don't give a fuck about this other shit. The one cop who kept coming in, the one
Mm-hmm.
that Jodie Foster was fucking. It's like that's funny,
Yeah.
but again, don't care. I don't know. I do enjoy. I did end up enjoying the fact that it's all basically tied back to money.
Mm-hmm.
That it's the company trying to protect its interests
Right.
ultimately. Dirty cops. Um, but yeah, goddamn the side stories, man.
I think with the story, I feel like season one did a better job of having like side characters just be side characters. Like you only need to interact with them when they are like really integral to the plot. And because you have 6 episodes for your season, you can't spend too much time with all these other characters. Like I understand why we get to know about Navarro like having like this fling with the dude that owns the restaurant. Like she has to have like a friend to like be grounded. I get that,
There's
but
another one.
and like I understand like seeing Jodie's relationship with her daughter to kind of see how like she's kind of like not very nurturing and not very motherly. Like I get that, but we don't really need to spend too much time on it. Like it could be like something you bring up and then you just move on from it. Like Jodie Foster telling Peter to like work all the time so she can figure out the case, and he spends time away from his family. Like
Yes, Peter and his wife. It's like bleh.
we could.
Either you lay down the law and say, "Look, I am trying to climb the ranks here. My boss is a bitch. I'm sorry, but I have to be at work.
Mm,
If you cannot handle that, fine, goodbye. And it's going to break my heart, but Jesus Christ, give me a break here. It's dark for 3 months."
you have to like keep everything compact. You have to keep like you have to cut the fat essentially. Like we need to get to like what matters here. And I I love Jodie Foster's character. I think that she also is like a hard ass and I feel like that really works for her. And I think it's so interesting just watching her work because it is very similar to like her character in Silence of the Lambs. How she's like very methodical and trying to figure out like what exactly is like happening here and unraveling stuff. Um, Me personally, I was trying to figure out. I mean I get why the new case, essentially the case they're working on in the past, is connected to the case. The case they're working on in the present is connected to the case in the past because it's essentially like kind of like a continuation almost of the two cases. But I kind of wish that we got to the resolution sooner. I feel like sometimes the show did a lot of like peeking and like hinting at stuff and like not really letting you know. And I was kind of like, we're on episode 4. We need to get to it. We need to wrap this shit up. You guys
Agreed.
have Like, it's an hour long show. What's going on? I need to know. I need to know what's happening here. You know what I mean?
But that's, I mean, that's you. Then you also have to kind of give it to them because they did do a good job of keeping you like, I want to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the coolest backstory and or the coolest bit of character development, in my opinion, um, in the form of the backstory, is where we learn about the guy that was beating the shit out of his wife.
Mm.
One, yeah. And they both go in. They finally both go in on him, and she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that it was Navarro.
Yep.
But oh, dude, that part is fucking sick. And then Foster's, as soon as you figure out what happened, and then Foster's like, I was gonna do it if you didn't. Is that kind of the same kind of shit? Don't give me any spoilers, but you said about the end of season one that they go about it in a very unprofessional way.
Actually, that happens. This might be a bit of a spoiler. It happens a little earlier in the season, I have to
Okay.
say. But that's the reason why, like, there's a time jump in season one, which is interesting because when you first start watching, you think, like, oh, the case is wrapped up. And then when they reveal that, like, it's not actually wrapped up, then everything kind of comes to a head with how, like, the season continues to unfold. Which is why I feel like season four is so similar to season one because it's the same thing that happened in season one. You know, like you thought you resolved the case, it ended the case. And season one, it helps the detective. Season four, it hurts the detectives because Navarro loses her job and Jodie gets to keep hers, essentially. Yeah. Um, when I, you see, right now, I'm kind of shitting on this season, but you seem to sound like you like it.
Well, now that we're kind of like unearthing some of this. I mean, there was a lot of stuff about it that I mean, good cliffhangers. I think it was episode one, the
Mm-hmm.
cliffhanger for episode one where um they show that like all of the dudes frozen together
Mm-hmm.
and putting them in the ice rink to thaw out.
Oh God.
Some macabre shit. That is some macabre shit. But I think, yeah, it was the end of season or the end of episode one where they're all out there kind of just like dusting the snow off, and there's cops standing around, and Jodie Foster's character walks up, and all of a sudden the one guy is just like, "Yeah."
Oh God.
And then he's the one that wakes up
Mm-hmm.
in the hospital bed and says to Navarro, like, we're waiting for you or something like
Yeah.
that. Or she's your mother's here and she's waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy. There's a lot of cool, creepy shit. There's something really, really, there's a draw to it for me. There's
Mm-hmm.
something like I never would want to go up so far north where it's nighttime for, however long. I would lose my mind. I would go insane. Um, but there's like it's interesting to be able to watch a show that takes place there. You should watch The Thing. That feeling of isolation and horror
Mm-hmm.
is very strong in The Thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might watch it. I'll have to look up where it's streaming, but I'll definitely give it a shot. And I do have to agree, like, there were a lot of parts of the show that were very interesting, especially because I feel like if you when you introduce like supernatural elements and otherworldly elements into your show, you can play around with a lot of stuff. You know, you can kind of just do like what you want, and it keeps the viewer on edge. It keeps them interested. And I do have to agree, the scene when Navarro is looking at that man, and he's like, "She's waiting for you." I was like, "Girl, you need to run. You need to get out of there." And it's crazy because she can't tell Jodie what she saw because she's gonna seem crazy. Because her sister is already in the clinic, and if she tells Jodie, "That man told me my mother is waiting for me," Jodie's gonna be like, "What are you talking about? Be so for real right now." Because she doesn't like, she's not really like interested in like, she doesn't want her daughter to really like learn like her actual like Native American name or like go to powwows or like do all this stuff. She's like, why can't you just be a normal teenager and just do your homework and like be normal? And she's not into like the boogeyman woo woo shit. And Navarro is very much interested in that, and you could tell when they go on their like car rides together and they're talking about it, like she kind of just brushes it off for the most part, but it's still something that is, it's to the point where like you can't really brush it off. Like if you're stuck in a lab in the dark and then you randomly turn around and you see like the cover of a tire just drive like roll past the door, it's like, what the fuck was that? There were no cars in here.
Mhm. Yeah, there were a lot of like nice, cool, creepy parts, and I mean, there was a part that I was the pretty close to. I mean, there were parts I was cracking up at there, and then when I forget the woman who works for the company, who basically says we figured it out. It was whatever their cover story was. She's like, we took samples, and Jodie Foster's like, shove your fucking samples up your ass. Like I was cracking up at a lot of parts, but then when Navarro first, when they're around the fire and
Mm-hmm.
it's like the power's out and they're freezing to death before Jodie Foster um almost dies,
Mm-hmm.
and Navarro brings up her son, and Foster has that monologue where she just goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the part I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's like, don't you fucking dare talk about my son.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's good shit. She's a master.
Yeah.
She's an absolute master.
I feel like when they find out what the laboratory is doing in conjunction with the mines and the conspiracy, I feel like that's something that we could have like, I don't know. I feel like that's something we could have focused on, like focusing on the mines, and then also focusing on like his wife. I guess like Hank Pryor's wife, who I guess works with. I don't know if it's his wife or like somebody he just knows, and then Hank Pryor, like his connection with it, because when that all like kind of comes in conclusion, like they need the mines to keep pumping the fumes so that the gas can melt at a steady rate for them to study like the organisms that they can, so they can somehow stop death in the
Save
future.
everybody's lives in the
Yeah,
world.
save everybody's lives, which I get is like monumental research and life-changing research, but at the hands of people who can't even drink the water that comes out of their taps, is it really worth it? Like, you can't find any other way to do it. And figuring out that the woman that died in the prior case was the woman that guy was sleeping with, this is sick and twisted. This is a sick and twisted thing. And I also want to say, I don't believe him. When he was talking about how she died, the fact that like she found their research and she started destroying the stuff, and all those men went down to the bottom and started stabbing her, I don't believe that it was like all those guys. Because
Oh, interesting.
how is it that you are dating this woman? I don't think they were together for that long. But you
But
just
then
like,
he smothers her, right? He
mm-hmm,
admits to smothering her.
yeah. And he also, when he's telling the story, he didn't mention that he smothered her. Like, he said that he tried to save her. But what we see in the flashback is that he smothered her. But me personally, I feel like it was just him down there. Because everyone else seems normal. It could be that being stuck in the cold, being stuck at night, like it kind of like rewires your brain, and being people who are isolated and antisocial, you work so hard to like break like this, get this like scientific discovery, and then you see there's one person who's going to keep you from it. And because all these Native American women are just like house cleaners to them, they probably don't regard them as human beings. So it's a plausible story, yes, but I don't believe it, because I don't like, there weren't any like, she wasn't being held down, she wasn't being constrained, that wasn't told in the autopsy. She was stabbed multiple times. That's it. So if it was multiple people, it would be at multiple different angles on her body. That's not stated at all. So it was thought to be one person. If they thought it was multiple people, they'd be looking for multiple people. But it was one person. So it was him that did it. And he's trying to cover his ass because he doesn't want to die, because there are two cops that found him when he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah, when you find out that all the scientists are dead, like after the opening scene, and that one guy's like making the video of him making a sandwich, I was like, oh, that guy's dead. Seemed cool. I don't think he had anything to do with it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that I still go back to him, like, the one dude that survived, like him, like, phasing in and out, and then Navarro seeing him phase in and out. I still think back to it, and I'm like, what is that? Like, what?
I cannot remember what the part you're talking about.
He's like, the dude is making the sandwich, right? And he's filming the video. He looks over at the guy in the jacket. He's like
Oh, he's like
that's,
having like a seizure.
yeah. And then Navarro
Well, I mean,
sees him.
he might just be like overcome by fear and anxiety and panic
Mm,
because of what happened, what he did or what they did.
mm. But that happened before the power went out and they died. Like that happened like a while before.
But it was after they had killed her.
Uh,
So I mean, he might have just be like trapped in this psychosis of guilt.
mm,
I don't know.
maybe. Um, I do feel like I don't know. I tried to like look up like some explanation for it, and there isn't a clear explanation as to like what happened with him and like what was going on. So it's kind of like, okay, fine, I'll just like leave it alone. But in my mind, I feel like he was like being parsed through like space and time. But that's just because I'm a sci-fi head, and I was like, oh
I
my
was gonna
god.
say.
I was like,
I
oh
think
my god, this man is glitching. He's glitching in the time. He's breaking through time and space. And the fact that like he looks at Navarro and she's looking at him, and he's like, she's awake, and then he goes away. I'm like, now this is not this, like, you know, I did not expect supernatural shit happening in True Detective. I thought I was signing up for Fargo, and I did not get Fargo. I kind of got Fargo, but it's not exactly that. You know what I mean?
which makes it funny that the title is True Detective too.
I also I feel like that's what I was looking for because I love Fargo. That's one of my favorite shows. I think it's a very strong anthology series about like, surrounding detectives.
I
Why?
tried with that one
You
too. I
don't
tried. I think I tried 3 different times. I couldn't even get past the for like I watched Martin Freeman kill his wife with the hammer.
Oh.
I think 3 different times.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, I think I got to episode 2, season 1, like 3 times, and I'm just like, this is boring. Billy Bob playing the same character that he constantly plays. I mean,
mm.
I'll give it another shot, maybe. How
I
many seasons of that have they done now? Like 6?
It's in season 5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the most recent season with John Hamm um leading the charge. Um I feel like, to your point, how like you kind of get tired of shows. I'm so used to binge watching things that I feel like I have what people call content brain, where people just watch things because it's entertaining and it's fun, and they'll just watch it. Because I've seen every Star Wars spin-off series they've made, and I'll admit, not all of them are great, but you know what? I like Star Wars. I like that. I like Star Wars. I have 5 different shirts with the Mandalorian on it. Have I seen season 3 of The Mandalorian? Not yet, but I will watch it because they plan to make a movie soon.
I didn't even watch season 2. I
Season 2
watched
is really good.
I watched season 1 and I'm like, all right, it was decent. I don't remember much. You know how much I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, and I
Mm,
watched the first. I may not even finish the first episode of Obi-Wan, and
mm.
I'm just like, nah, I don't care.
I'm I'm gonna be honest. Like I watched the shows. I don't remember what happened, but I watched them and I liked
Okay,
them. I do have to say, out of all the Star Wars spinoffs, Andor is the best. I would say possibly better than the Mandalorian now. Like
wow.
it's really good, and that's mainly because you have a character that already exists in the universe, thanks to Rogue One, which I also
I was
love.
just gonna say it's Dude Man from Rogue One. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have a strong story and a strong message, and it doesn't have to be like a Star Wars story. You don't have to know the lore. You don't have to know like the background. You just have to like actually care about what's going on with the characters, and you do care because the writing is really good, very solid, and a lot of the writers on Andor are the writers from Rogue One, so they already have like the base knowledge of like what they need to build a Star Wars story, but it's already just like a human story in Star Wars. So that's what really makes it good.
My brother's a big fan. Told me to watch it.
You should.
Ha- Haven't watched it.
You should watch it. Put on your watch list.
I cycle through because I don't have all the streaming platforms at once. Like I keep the big three, obviously
Yeah.
Netflix, Hulu, and Prime, and then I'll cycle through. Like right now, I'm on Max, and then when I cancel Max, I might go back to Disney Plus, or who knows, maybe something else, maybe Showtime.
Well, you don't need Disney Plus anymore because all of the Disney content is on Hulu.
All of it?
A lot of it.
Is it?
Yeah, Disney and Hulu merged. So,
I knew that. I just didn't know. I didn't know so much of it was on there.
I
Is
mean,
Andor on Hulu?
I know that Percy Jackson is on Hulu. I don't know if Andor
Oh,
is.
well, that doesn't do me any good.
Okay, great, 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 great. Um, Let me refer to my notes. It seems like you liked True Detective. What was it that
I
you
think
hated?
you're bringing it out of me.
I'm bringing it out of you.
Yeah, I think you're bringing it out of me. I actually could see myself rewatching season 4.
I don't know if I could rewatch season 4 because I think that Issa Lopez did a really good job of continuing True Detective, but how do I say this? The only analogy I have to this is really Doctor Who. Um, when Jodie Whittaker was made like the Doctor, a lot of people wanted to get into Doctor Who, but they didn't want to watch all the previous seasons. So what Chris Chibnall did, he created series 11. It was yeah, and he basically made a season for new Doctor Who fans. But for returning Doctor Who fans, it was just like, well, this is good, but it's not Doctor Who. Like this is what I'm used to. Like it doesn't continue the story that Peter Capaldi left off on. This just feels like a whole new story, and it kind of was. It was kind of like an introduction to like Jodie Whittaker, and they do this with like new doctors all the time, which is fine, but it just felt different. And I feel like with True Detective, that's what happened. Um, I liked season 1 and I enjoyed it, and I feel like season 4 is very similar to it. But season 4 also felt like not a season for True Detective fans, but new fans to True Detective. That way they could be introduced to the series and introduced to the show and like the show. But for like, longtime fans, it's just something that's kind of different because in previous seasons, you're not really pulling from supernatural elements that much. Like in season 1, are you? Yes, kind of. But there is a villain. There is a person. There's a physical person you could kill and or send to jail that you find out who they are at the end of the day. In season 4, it's basically an entity. It's something you kind of have to believe in. And for some people, they want a villain. They want a person. They want to point fingers at someone. And if you're telling me like, oh well, we let her go out, and if she felt like they were worthy, then she would let them live, and if she didn't, then like she would take them with her. And to a lot of fans, that's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And to me, I feel like, okay, yeah, sure, but then I still have to question like, if she took the guy that survived somehow and not Navarro, why did she take Navarro later then? Was it not her time then? Like, there are a lot of things that are open ended for
There
me.
are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever watch Jordan Peele's Us, you might feel the same way about
Mm.
the third act.
Um,
I guess I like it when things feel nebulous, maybe sometimes.
I think I enjoy that with like, The Quiet Place because a lot of people didn't know where the monsters came from, and when you kind of find out they're from like they're aliens, it's like, oh, well, they're aliens. And it sometimes it's interesting to like leave the mystery. Like, where do these things come from? What are they? How do they exist? Why are they attracted to sound? Like, what makes them so brutal? Like, how did they get here? You know what I mean? Like, you like the mystery. You like leaving things unsolved and open ended, you know?
Hmm.
I feel like for me with like a detective show, I need you to throw someone in jail. Like someone has to be in
and
handcuffs.
and not just that drunk lady that's screaming in episode 1.
Mm, no. I did at some point did think it was that lady. Like at some point I was like, it's gotta be her. She's the only other person out there. You know what I mean?
I thought it was going to be Navarro's boyfriend.
Navarro's boyfriend, how would it be him? He's at the restaurant all the time. He's never there.
Right? Well,
No.
Speaking of Jodie Whittaker, I was thinking of season one of Broadchurch,
Oh,
where the
love
bad guy is
Broadchurch.
the absolute least likely, right? That's what I
Mm-hmm.
was that's what I was thinking of.
You thought it was her?
No, I thought it was no, who it ends up being in season
Oh,
one of Broadchurch.
yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, Olivia Colman's husband.
Yeah.
Right. So I was thinking maybe it's the cop's boyfriend. I was like, he's too nice.
Oh.
He's too nice. He's like, just come back. Let me make you some eggs.
Ew.
But he's sitting there listening to her as she's
Yeah.
like giving him all the details. It's like this is how he that was my theory. Like he's as close to the investigation as he can be because he's dating Navarro. So I thought it was him. That's not a bad theory, right? I'm a true detective.
I feel like me personally, I was would when we see like all the bodies together, you know, and like somehow like frozen on top of each other as if they're trying to climb out of something. In my head, I'm thinking like there's some kind of device that they have, like there's some kind of machinery, and I also thinking like it could have possibly be that one that one guy, that one scientist. But as we were nearing the end, and he randomly pops out of nowhere, I'm like, well, where is it? Where's your magic Zamboni? I don't know. Where's the thing? Where's the ice ray? It's got to be something.
Ice ray.
I don't know, but I feel like I really did enjoy the series. I did love it a lot, but I think as I poured over it more and as I tried to understand it, that's when I realized like I have no resolution. I don't know what happened, you know? And I also want to say this is the problem with having too many side characters. I kind of wish they didn't introduce the sister. I we could have just had the mom. The mom is enough. Why put me through the heartbreak of her losing her sister? Because she doesn't even mourn. She doesn't even cry. She's not sad. She just toughs through it. And then she
Isn't that
dies
wh-
herself.
isn't that when she may die, possibly,
Okay,
possibly.
sure.
Isn't that like after her sister dies, then she mourns through anger,
Hmm.
like a man.
Yeah.
That's where she goes to the home and like screams at that guy, and then she goes out to that dude who what did he do in episode one that pissed her off? Was he like pushing his woman around or something?
Yeah.
He was okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she goes and starts shit with him, and like all those dudes beat the ever living shit out of her. I was like,
Yeah.
no, reckless.
I hate that stuff. I hate it. Because I'm just watching her get her ass kicked. And I know she's a fighter in real life. Like, she's like, girl, you're in the ring. Like, I
Is
know
she
you,
really? Is she like
yeah,
UFC or something?
yeah. The,
Shut up.
the actress is an actual, like, fighter.
I did not know that.
I'm gonna be honest. I know you, as a cop, you can't beat up citizens because like that opens you up to a lawsuit. But also as a cop, you can't go up to random citizens and just like be an asshole. You know what I mean? Like I get
It's,
it.
It's Alaska. It's the final frontier.
Grief makes you do stupid things. I get it, but like, can we at least act with like some kind of, I don't know, some kind of resolve, please?
Restraint.
Yes, restraint.
Well, it was good drama anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you needed to show. You need good drama. Exactly. Um, let's see. Let me look over my notes. Mm, I don't know if I have anything else to say really. I feel like the show is pretty ambitious and pretty strong. Um, I think that season four, like I said in my notes, it does rely a little more on the supernatural elements in terms of the victim's deaths and circumstances. And I get like leaving things out for the viewers to decide, but at the same time, we spent 6 episodes looking at clues, omens, different dreams, different flashbacks. Like, I'm seeing all this shit happen, and I come to this resolution of like, oh, the cleaners did it. They took them out to the ice and then she chose their fate. And it's like, well, I can't arrest a bunch of cleaners because who's gonna believe them? They'll just arrest them just cause. It's
Well,
just
I think it
like,
was also like sisterhood too. They're like, okay,
yeah,
because the way they frame it is like this could have been the way it happened.
mm-hmm, yeah, and I can understand that because there was no, I mean, there was really no like resolution for the young woman that died, and I don't know, I didn't trust that guy with the long hair. I don't trust
The
him.
Irish dude,
Is he Irish?
the guy that they keep putting the headphones on and making him listen to
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe the actor's Irish. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't trust that guy, but I feel like having him go out to the ice also and freeze was, I don't think they should have done that. Like, you should have asked him more questions. Because there were things that you need to understand and things that we needed to know. And now that he's dead, you don't know. And then they're just stuck at the laboratory with, like, no power. It's cold. Like, we could ask some more questions. We could investigate some more. I understand that, like, Navarro is probably not in the headspace. She's like, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. In fact, take your ass outside. Like, I could get that sentiment. But I guess me as the audience member, I was just like, well, I mean, I would like to know what he meant by she. Like, who the fuck is
Mhm.
she? I mean, but I guess we never know who she is, so it's fine. That's okay. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Okay. Um, there was one other thing that I did want to talk about. It's the fact that Nick Puzzolato was kind of bad mouthing season 4 because I guess he had seen like the reviews, and
Hmm.
he was also watching the show. And basically, he was saying, I don't know, he was saying stuff to the sentiment of like, oh, this is what they did to my show. This is what, like, he was just upset by how the show turned out. You know, what,
Egos,
huh?
egos,
Yeah. I mean,
egos.
to be honest, like I said before, he was in charge of season 1, and then season 2, he was the only writer for most of the episodes. And season 3, it was basically the same thing. And I think season 3 got like some better reviews, but I think that's mainly because like Mahershala Ali is your lead, and a lot of times some reviewers will be like more favorable to like a good actor. You know what I mean? And season 3 did get a lot of Emmy noms, but when you have a strong actor like Mahershala, the Academy's just gonna like give it to him regardless, because it's like, oh, it's Mahershala, of course, yeah. And like most of them probably didn't even watch that season of True Detective, but they're like, Mahershala is so talented. He was probably so good. People love that show. It's on HBO. It's so good.
There was not a lot of marketing for the other seasons.
Mm,
There was a lot of marketing for Night Country.
yeah.
I heard a lot of radio spots on like Spotify commercials and Pandora commercials,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube ads at the beginning. Like I don't remember hearing much about the last couple seasons of True Detective, but Night Country I heard a lot about. So,
Yeah.
they were pushing it hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's the return to True Detective. So
And it got me.
yeah.
It got me because I saw
I
Jodie Foster in Alaska, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
was like, absolutely, sure.
So, I
And
mean,
yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
nothing. I was just gonna say it's just this guy who feels as though, right or wrong, he has ownership over the show, and I bet HBO and Max would beg to differ.
Well, yeah, they own the show, but also they gave him a producer credit. So even though he's not involved in like the creation of Night Country, he got paid.
Hmm.
Like regardless, yeah, he still got a check, and he will get a check possibly for season 5 as well.
Oh, are they making another one, huh?
They are,
Oh, wow.
and Issa Lopez will be the showrunner for season 5.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
Interesting. All right.
I do have to say also, like, I find it really strange for like him to act this way, because Nick Pizzolatto is fine. Like, he's made 2 movies. He's made a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal called The Guilty, and he has another movie with Jake Gyllenhaal to lead in that one as well. I think it's not like he is lost any kind of job opportunities. The fact that you are the creator of True Detective, you have that attached to your name, that has a lot of that means a lot of doors are open for you. You know, you don't have to like worry about like finding another job. And I feel like spending your time on social media, joining fans and trashing the new season of this show that you started is gonna leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because you were already hard to work with on season two, which is seen as the worst season of the show. In season three, you weren't any easier to work with. And season four, they said, "Hey, buddy, look, we own this show. All right, we'll pay you, but you don't work here anymore. All right, that's just it." And then taking on a new showrunner, new cast, new story. It's hard enough to try and revive a show that's been away for so long, but to have the original creator bad mouthing it on social media, it's like, hey, you already get your check each month. So what's up? What's going on? Keep that to yourself. Like, and also the creator, like not the creator, but like the showrunner for season four, Issa Lopez said, you know, he has his opinion, he's entitled to it, which is a nice way of saying I can't say anything bad about this guy because I just started here. So if I try to badmouth him, then I'm gonna be in trouble. So I'm gonna play nice. You know?
Well, I mean, it's definitely it, it sucks
Yeah.
because you have a mouthy dude and a woman who is like, I want to keep my fucking job. I'm sure if she felt like she had the power to say something back, she would. And it's, yeah, it's unprofessional. I
Mm-hmm.
can't stand, like, Mark Wahlberg came out and said something about the making of The Departed and how it was, like a headache and it was the conditions were difficult. It's like, bro, you were in a Martin Scorsese movie. You are garbage and you are never been better than in The Departed.
Mm.
So shut the fuck up, trash talking asshole. I don't know if that's the same thing, but yeah, very unprofessional. Definitely leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's similar to actors complain about when actors complain after being in like a David Fincher film. You know, David Fincher is known for taking multiple takes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how else to say this. Do your job. That's it. Just do your
Yeah.
like
If you don't want to be in a David Fincher movie, then don't sign on.
exactly, exactly. You knew what it was when you signed up,
Robert Downey Jr. bitched and pissed and moaned about it.
sir.
In fact, he filled jars with his own urine and left them around the set of Zodiac.
Okay, that's disgusting. That's nasty.
Allegedly. That's what I read.
Don't do that.
That was his form of protest. So maybe
Yeah.
Issa Lopez should, I don't know,
Piss in a jar and send it to his house.
send it to his house.
Girl, don't do that. I also like real quick just wanted to say I feel like there are a lot of shows that have been coming out recently, and they have like women led, women written, diverse cast, and a lot of times people already write it off from the jump because if anybody sees a diverse cast, they're like, ugh, the woke left have taken over Hollywood again, and it sucks when you see that, but then you actually watch the show and it's like, girl, I don't know what to say. Like with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, I wanted to like it. I did. But, there are a lot of people that were sending like racist threats towards the black actress who was in the show. And, Ewan McGregor had to like step in and like, say like, this is not right. This is not okay. And like, to that
I
point, I have to
remember.
say like, Star Wars fans are racist, man. Like, I don't know how you didn't pick up on this. Like, there's a reason why um, the guy who played Anakin, I forget his name, but I know his name. There's a reason why he didn't go to any of the Star Wars celebrations. The fans are brutal, okay? But when I watched the show, I was like, dang, this show ain't even good. You know, it's just it's tough for me sometimes because I watch so much TV and I see like people's like reactions to that stuff online, and I'm like, I just need y'all to shut up and just watch the show and then make your opinion next. If you want to judge a show because there's a diverse cast and you don't like that, then like please keep it quiet. And I watch the show and it's bad, and I'm like, god damn. Like that's how I felt about Night Country because I was trying to do research and I saw all these videos about people being like, this show's so bad, it's woke, oh my gosh, Jodie Foster's character is terrible. And I'm like, I need to find a smart analysis on this. YouTube needs to stop recommending me these shit videos, please. And I did find a couple good videos that gave like a smart analysis of the show. But oftentimes than not, if I start watching a show and I don't like it, and I see like this group of people that hate it even more, their voice is louder than any kind of constructive criticism that
Oh,
I can find online.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
Hate clicks, as Spro calls them. Hate clicks.
yeah.
But I don't know. I try not to let like I mean, I'm very happy you got speaking of female led projects. I mean, Furiosa is not female led technically.
Mm,
But it's another Mad Max movie
right.
where it's basically about Furiosa. If it had gotten terrible reviews, I still would have seen it. And I'm very happy it's getting good reviews. So you just got to block that shit out sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel you. I think sometimes I think putting diversity first over top of are you making something good
Mm-hmm.
is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. In the end, it just hurts, future
the
projects,
cause,
future creatives.
and it hurts the cause. You should have a good story that is diverse.
Yeah.
You can do both.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people get bogged down in what are the audiences going to say about this. I mean, no one's going to be, you're never going to please everybody.
True. True. Yeah. I do agree with that, and I think that it is important to focus on like the story first, which is why I love Andor, because I feel like it is a very strong story, and Mr. Diego Luna deserved an Emmy nomination for his role in that show. Him or at least Andy Serkis, because Andy Serkis was amazing in that show. Like I thought he was phenomenal, and I, gosh, I have to go back and rewatch it because I'm pretty sure they're going to do a season two. I would have been fine if Andor was like a standalone like limited series. I feel like that would have been great, but I think they're going to do season two. So I have to go back and rewatch it, or at least figure out what season two is going to come out because I'm so excited, and I love that show so much because anything that's like anti-war, anti-establishment, anti-capitalism, and it's also set in sci-fi. That's my shit right there. And I also find it annoying when people are like, "Oh, Star Wars is so woke." It's like it's Star Wars. What
Mhm.
is war? Huh? Political. Thank you, girl. All right. I can't. The internet pisses me off like almost every day. I can't do it. But whatever. Do you have any final thoughts on True Detective season four?
No, I just I want to say again, I think you coaxed out, it's definitely not perfect, but I think you coaxed out some of my love for it. I was trying to prep for the last couple weeks of
Mm-hmm.
of what it was that I was specifically going to say. And I'm like, finally, I'm just like, you know what? I've got some notes, but I'll just wing it. And you did a really good job of helping me find my love for the show. I think I do actually want to watch it again. I'll wait till it's really hot outside and then I'll watch it again.
Mm. That's great. That's great. I feel like the last thing I want to say is that, um, man, I did really like season four. I think for all the things I said, all the critiques I gave, it is a very interesting story. I think that Issa Lopez did a really awesome job bringing a story that is very different and like very unique and hasn't been done before. And I'm always interested in learning about like indigenous culture. I wish there was more of that was introduced, but more definitively. I would have liked that more. I would have liked something like more clear cut, something based in like just like one indigenous tribe instead of something that feels like a very overarching story. But I think that the show does a very beautiful job of telling the story of these two women that are strong leading ladies that are both kind of like they're both kind of reckless in their own way, if you're being
Yes.
honest. And I think that they do complement each other very well. And I think that fans of True Detective need to spend less time comparing these seasons to the first season and really just open up to like be open to a new story, because season 4 of True Detective was the most viewed season out of every series in the show. It had 12 million views overall on all
Whoa,
platforms. Yeah, which I feel like is a big reason why they gave it a season 5 renewal.
the marketing worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. So,
It was fun to watch. It
yeah.
was fun to watch those two. The two that was the story I wanted. And
Mm.
every time it went away from that story, I was kind of just twiddling my thumbs, being like, okay, let's get back to Navarro and Danvers. I want to see what's going on.
Right. I would like for them to like cut it down, the side characters, because that's the one thing that season 1 actually did really well, was just focusing on Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey's dynamic and
I
the
would
two
have
characters.
welcomed some side characters in that first one to get away from Matthew McConaughey's suffering succotash, summer squash.
Mm. I have to
Can't
say, when he was like being interviewed by those two other detectives, and he is like drinking his beer and he's sitting there and he's droning on and
chain
on.
smoking.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to listen, and I'm like, I understand the philosophy lesson. I get it. I'm trying to get back to the case. I'm trying to get to the
Right,
story. I'm trying to get to the meat
right.
and potatoes. What's happening?
Same, same.
Like, it's interesting to have a very philosophy driven character and to introduce that as well. But if there's no point, then we might need to wrap up the lecture, because I did not sign up for this class. I don't know why I'm here. What's going on? I don't
Me
know.
neither.
But I think that season 4 of True Detective was a pretty solid season overall. Would I have liked some clarity? Yes. Would I have liked some more details? Yes. Do I still love the writing and I think it was a really awesome show? Yeah, I liked it. And I feel like Nick Pizzolatto, he's just gonna have to complain to somebody else. You know, like, we're gonna have to sign up for a Talkspace subscription and talk to somebody. Pay somebody to listen to you, sir. Please log off. That's all I had to say. But we could go ahead and wrap things up with recommendations. This is the final segment of our podcast, guys, where we talk about some movies and TV shows we've seen recently that we want to recommend to you guys. And one movie that I saw recently that I guess I would want to recommend is Fall Guy, or The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds and Emily Blunt. And I watched that movie because I've just been like dealing with stuff personally, and I needed a funny movie to watch, and I needed to take my mind off of things. And I love the movie. It's very funny. It's definitely a love letter to like stunt men and like stunt coordinators and the work they do to like bring these action films. And I think it was a really solid film. It's a very smart film. And the fact that David Litch he used to be a stuntman and he made this movie, I feel like that really speaks through all the work that goes behind this film. And I absolutely love Emily Blunt and Ryan Reynolds' dynamic. And I think not Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling's dynamic. And Ryan Gosling now being like a funny man, now doing comedy. I love that. I enjoy that so much because he,
Looks good on him.
yeah, it does look good on him. Because you know what? I love The Notebook. I love Drive. I love Blade Runner. I love Ides of March. But when I see him having fun on screen, that makes me feel so much better. I also love The Big Short. I think The Big Short is also like an underrated role of his. I think that he's really good in that movie. But I like The Fall Guy. I think it was a really good show, really good movie. I'm trying to think of some other things I've watched recently. Lee, do you have any recommendations for listeners?
Yeah, I was gonna go dark, but I'll keep it light along the lines of Fall Guy. I started rewatching a show that began in the 20th century and overlapped into the 21st century, and it is about three sisters named Prudence, Phoebe, and Piper, and that show is Charmed. I have been rewatching Charmed with my wife, and I love how hokey and silly and sweet it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's the way I end all my nights completely for free on well, if you have Amazon Prime. But
Mm-hmm.
a nice watch, a good 42-minute episode, 46-minute episode. Um, the fashion and music is just a trip if you are someone who was alive and cognizant in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode we watched, the Goo Goo Dolls played their club at the end. I was like, wonderful, wonderful.
I love that. I actually used to watch Charmed, but that was around the time I was watching like Charmed, Smallville, Supernatural,
Oh yeah.
Firefly.
Mm.
Yeah, I used to be into all those shows, but I was a lot younger when I was watching those shows. So it's been a while since I've revisited Charmed. Uh,
It's it's a trip.
um, let's see. Crap, I just had it. Okay, one show I do want to recommend that I found on Amazon Prime and I really do like is Patriot, and it's a show about this guy who is basically like he is a hitman for the government, but he works for his dad, who also works in the government, and he does not want to be a hitman. He doesn't want to do this. He wants to make music. He wants to be a musician, but he
Aw.
can't. And he is so bad at his job. This man can't do nothing right. Like, first episode, he's supposed to take a job. This might be a
Is this
spoiler.
a comedy?
It's not, it's a dry comedy.
Okay. So it okay, because that sounds funny
Yeah, it's
when you say that
hilarious.
premise out loud.
Yes.
He
It's,
wants to make music.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It's a dry comedy. It's very dark. This is gonna be a bit of a spoiler, but I just have to say this because I found it so crazy. Basically, he has to take this job at this company because his dad's part of some government conspiracy, and he needs his son to help him out. And he reluctantly says yes. He's like, "I'll do anything for you, dad." So he tries to do well in the job interview, and he does it because he's not prepared. He doesn't know what the job is. He doesn't prepare for anything. He doesn't get a briefing, and he just goes into it blind. He doesn't get the job, obviously. And then the other guy, who's like very smart, very intelligent, he gets the job. He's 100% sure of it. And the other dude is like, "Dang, I need this job so my dad can trust me." And you know what he does? Him and the guy are standing outside of the road, right? There's a car coming. Guess what happens? He shoves the guy in front of the car.
Okay,
And
that was what I figured.
I'm sitting here like, did nobody see this? Apparently nobody did. Apparently nobody did. Guess what happens? The dude survives. And
Oh
I was
no.
like,
Then he has to kill him
no,
with a musical instrument.
no. The guy stays at the job.
Oh
So
no.
he takes his job, and the dude that he pushed in front of the car keeps working at that job with him. Yeah,
What?
and that's not even the thing you need to focus on because there are so many other moving parts happening in the show. You know what I mean? But it's honestly like a really great show. I think it came out like 2018. I was surprised to find it. I just kind of found it randomly on Amazon Prime because I was just like looking through the selection, and I was just like, I need something to watch right now because I'm just bored. And I've enjoyed it so far. I really do like it. So if you are looking for something new to watch, I would recommend it. It's not, even though it's about a hitman, you don't really see a lot of violence in the show, if I'm being honest. So that was a nice surprise for me. Yeah. I know Amazon loves Jack Reacher. Nope. Yep, Jack Reacher,
Yeah.
Jack Ryan. That's the name, Jack Ryan.
Yes.
They love their spy dramas. They love the violence. They love their male-centered, male-focused, TV shows. I felt like Patriot was pretty good, but like the guy, excuse my language, is kind of a cuck. So I get why
What?
nobody knew about the show. Just, just a little bit, but yeah. There was another show I did want to recommend. This is something I just watched recently because I've been getting into anime. I finished Cowboy Bebop, and I love it. I love Cowboy Bebop. I don't know why they would try to do a live action of it. It's perfect the way it is. It's such a good show. And after I watched it, I talked about it with my brother, and he loved it too. And I finally understand why so many guys in my high school love that dude, the main character. His name's like Skip or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's such a freaking classic of a show.
Couldn't get into it. I had a buddy that was huge into it in college,
Uh huh.
and he kept trying to thrust it upon us. And I'm pretty sure I sat for at least one episode and I'm like, don't care, stupid. I'm out of this. I just remember the like little girl who was like the radio person or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
What was her name?
I don't remember.
Annoying. It was annoying. I can't get into anime. Oh well.
Really?
Really? No
Okay.
interest.
All right. There is one anime I would recommend to you, just because like this is a very popular anime and it just dropped on Netflix, so I think you may like it. Have you heard of Jujutsu Kaisen?
Nope.
Okay. It's a very good anime. It's about this guy, Itadori. You know, he's a high school student, but he figures out there's this other world in Japan of curse like users. And basically there are like demons or curses that run around Japan, and these pretty much young kids have to go around killing them, which seems very basic, but the
Demon
show
slaying? Sounds like Charmed.
not they're not demons, they're curses.
Oh, you okay. You did say demons though.
They're
You
kind of
said
like
curses and then demons.
there's another anime that does demon slaying.
Oh, okay. What's that one?
Demon Slayer.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I've also watched that one. That one's really good, but it's also like brutal. Brutal, violent. It's one of those animes, if you watch it, you have to be ready to get heartbroken. You have to be ready to like be fucked up, essentially.
Hmm.
It goes there. But Jujutsu Kaisen is really good. I would I would suggest giving it a try. You know.
We'll see.
Okay. Give
We'll
it a
see.
I'm gonna ask you again if you got into it.
All
So
right. You can ask me. I won't guarantee that I got into it.
also, did you watch Hannibal?
No.
Okay. So that's another so that's another thing.
What's that?
There's another thing you have to get into. Hannibal.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It is.
Hannibal, I have to say, I mean, if you like procedurals, I think you'll like it.
I don't know how you do it. There's not enough hours in the day for me.
There's not enough hours in a day for me either, but I do like this freelance. So this is like part of like my freelance work. So I kind of have
Uh,
to watch things.
I see.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of shows that have come out that I haven't seen yet. Like Fallout is a show that everyone keeps talking about, and I still haven't watched it. I still have to watch,
Oh,
yeah,
based on the video game?
yeah.
Yeah.
I still have to watch Dune. I still haven't seen that, and that was like a whole thing because everybody that like, because I work for two different publications that like review movies and TV shows.
Oh,
Ev-
nice.
it's great, but like everybody saw Dune 2 and I hadn't seen it. They're like, Monica, you haven't seen it yet? And I'm like, I have a job. I work. I don't have time for this, guys. I'm sorry. It's a miracle I saw The Fall Guy. Honestly, a miracle. If am I gonna be able to see any other movie that's out right now? Girl, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'll let you know. It's honestly a surprise that I'm actually watching anime because anime is long. It's violent. I don't really do violence that well, but my brother likes it, so I'll watch it just to like, you know, so we have something to talk about. But don't think that I'm out here. Don't think I'm just at home binge watching things. It's just whenever I find the chance.
Okay. All right. That was what I was picturing. I was picturing you're like done with all of these episodes, moving on to the next
Uh
season.
huh.
I don't know how I was like, I don't know how she does it. I can barely watch the movies for our podcast.
when you, I remember you had like sent me a list of movies because guys, I'm going to be on Lee's podcast in the near future. I'll let you know when that happens. But when you let me know what movies that I had to watch, I looked through the list. I was like, oh, I see most of these. And then in my
Well,
head,
I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm getting ready.
get ready. I'm going to be honest. When I saw that, I looked through the list. I was like, oh, I've seen most of these. In my head, I was like, damn, girl, really?
Yeah, you're ready. I I knew you would be a great guest. You were almost already done with all your homework.
Listen, there's still the research part. Like I
Right.
start doing notes. Like the outline that we look over for this episode, I'm making my own outline for the one you're doing. So.
Oh, right on. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. You know what, Lee? Thank you so
Hmm.
much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I like
It's
talking with you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you on. You're one of my favorite guests because You're someone who's like really smart. You're very intelligent, and the fact that you already have a podcast just shows, and that just makes this like a lot better. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Yeah. And where can the people find you if they want to like
Oh, geez. We're everywhere. Spro and Lee Take on the Academy is on wherever you find podcasts. We take Oscars away most of the episodes from movies or people that we don't think deserve them. And we're working on season 5 right now, which will not be out for a while.
mm-hmm.
It'll be very, very late 2024, probably early 2025,
Okay.
because life is busy for Spro and I right now. So,
I
but
get that.
yeah, and Monica's going to join us for an episode where we talk about Oscar snubs.
Yep. I'm very excited for that conversation.
It'll be fun. I think you're going to be great. It's going to be a perfect addition.
Awesome, awesome. Guys, all of Lee's links will be in description down below. Don't forget to check out his podcast, like he said, Spro and Lee Take on the Academy. It's a wonderful podcast. It's really great. I highly recommend it to you guys. And don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to our Patreon as well. And don't forget to tell your friends and family about your new favorite podcast. I've been meaning to watch that. I want to thank you guys so much for listening once again, and we will see you guys next week with a new topic, a new guest like we do every single week. Bye!
Bye.